So God of War and Until Dawn require PSN account on PC.
Oh no, not again.
We're going on an epic adventure, Morty.
What?
God of War, Morty, the new one. Find your motivation. We have to make choices, and we're going to the 9 realms. Oh!
Now, yes, it is good that they're telling you right off the bat. That's why, you know, I'm not as mad as like Helldive. I just thought I'd bring this up because it's just weird that PlayStation aren't learning their lesson of, hey, we're still making money from this, from putting it on PC. You know, they're still getting the money, but realistically, at the end of the day, they're gonna make a lot more money if you don't have that account. What would the shareholders actually want? The game to be able to be sold in countries where PSN accounts aren't available? Or just, oh, look, there's 50 brand new PSN accounts of the people that actually made a new one for this who don't have the PlayStation. What looks a lot better? Triple the amount of money or some more PSN accounts?
It's something that looks good, though. It's one of these things where it's like people buying shares, and it sucks to say, they don't give a shit about people in certain parts of the world. They just don't, because they're like, well, purchasing power is very low there. Like in Djibouti, for example. We make a joke, but it is a communist nation in Africa, right? It's borders Ethiopia. There's not a lot of purchasing power there. Like, the game is sold at a loss there, which isn't a problem if you're selling it everywhere else in the world. And there's also microtransactions. So eventually, especially in a game like Helldivers, you can probably make your money back. Look at our company. Our company's doing well. If you have a bunch of people being forced into signing up for PSN accounts, that looks good because it shows growth. I would argue artificial growth, it still counts as growth. Basically, what happens was when you report those numbers, you're all of a sudden you're like, new PSN accounts. Like, in order to use the PlayStation, you have to have a PSN account. Not PlayStation Plus, which is like paid for multiplayer, but just a base free PSN account. You have to have one to use the console. It basically tricks people into thinking that PS5 sales are good. Why would people be making PSN accounts if they don't have a PS5? They're not thinking that, oh, you just forced a bunch of people who wanted to play a game that was already purchased. It just doesn't make sense for a single player game. The reason they're giving is trophies. But the thing is, there's already an achievement system set up in Steam, and I believe Epic has one.
I just don't think it's a good idea, me personally. I think the amount of money you're going to lose not selling it in so many countries is just wild to me. There's like over 200 plus countries.
And also, people are fed up with other game launchers. Like, people don't use Epic.
Yeah.
People barely use Ubisoft. I mean, let's be honest. People don't even use GOG. And people like GOG. People use Ubisoft for something like X-Defiant and Uno. And that's a problem. Like, they're tired. They have Steam, and their entire game library is on Steam. Why would you go and transition to another games library if I can't bring my games over? That makes no sense. Steam, in a lot of cases, is better quality than these other places. I would say in download speeds, it's not. It's slower to download than on a lot of other places. Like GOG has better download speeds.
Steam crash is just a lot less than other ones. Like Epic takes
That's
forever.
true, yeah.
And you always have to re-log in. I swear to God, man, every time I click on Epic, I gotta re-log in.
Yep.
Ubisoft takes 5 minutes to boot up. They're all just so shit. Hey, don't even get me started on the Xbox One.
I've been finding the Xbox launcher recently has been better than Ubisoft.
I don't know. I think Microsoft Store and the Xbox launcher are just so slow.
Oh, Microsoft Store is actually an abortion.
Yeah, well, they're all built. They're all built on the same Azure architecture, so that's why.
I'd rather try to open iTunes on my computer than and not Apple Music, iTunes.
The reason why they all want these launchers is because they can advertise, they can throw whatever they want in your face rather than having to adhere with Steam and Valve's rules and regulations. And also, they want to make their money off of their launchers. They'd rather not have to circumvent through another platform or another launcher to sell it. And that for a marketer that's kind of like an incentive enough to just make whatever like freaking launcher, even though if it's cheap or lazy, it's still there and making it a requirement. with games like this, these are big. Until Dawn, God of War, Ragnarok, these are big games, and there should be no reason for them to have require a PSN account because there's no protection required. There's no sense of a network that's regulated by Sony taken care of.
I think they're both single player games.
Yeah, they are. They really are. There's other than like what, maybe some sort of like message board or something like what, but that's neither here nor there. But with that, they want to have that arm twist. To me, that's what I see this as. It's like, oh, you want to play this game on the PC? Well, you're going to have to link your PSN account. It's another further twist to the arm for players who actually really want to play these games and have the full PC experience rather than have to be confined to the console, and make them create an account, add to their base of what potential buyers could be. Rather than having potential Steam buyers, they can have potential direct buyers.
I will say this. Maybe they were trying something and they fucked up. The fact that Ghosts is doing it, which is a mainly single player game, God of War, which is a completely single player game, Until Dawn, which I believe is also completely single player.
Yep, it is.
It shows you that they are trying to weasel their way into the gaming market for PlayStation Plus. Let's be honest, they want to sell subscriptions, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft is able to do it, obviously through the Microsoft store and the Xbox launcher, right? You can use Game Pass, and I am actually a fan of Game Pass at this moment. That could change, obviously, if they start trying to increase the price, a la like Netflix ads.
No, they're going to.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Eventually, yeah, because it's not making the money on the
probably
long
eventually,
run.
But at this point in time, I think
They're
Game
going
Pass
to
is
use
actually a
Black
good
Ops
value.
6, and they're going to use the sales, because I guarantee you Black Ops 6 is going to have the lowest sales out of any Call of Duty, and they're going to use that as the justification to increase the cost of Game Pass. And it's not that Black Ops 6 is going to be successful, it's just that people are going to be like, yeah, well, hey, and you know,
I would rather pay the monthly fee over the $90.
You're going to see the physical copies of Black Ops 6 go on sale real quick. You're going to see them go from $70 to $40 in a matter of 2 to 3 months.
Bringing it back to Helldivers too, like with the way things are going up with just the single players alone, what's stopping Sony from just making a U-turn on their choice that they made not to put in the update to require a PSN account and just add it in the next update?
One word: investors.
You think that'll stop them?
Well, the investors are out of touch. Like it's ultimately the investors that are pushing this decision. And if the investors were informed, they would do it. But the investors care about the amount of numbers, and they want those numbers to go up, and they want it to be done. And they know that the PC gaming market's increasing. They want a piece of that pie ahead of the game.
Well, and we also have to look at who's investing in Sony.
Yes,
people aren't investing in Sony because they like video games. 100%. Sony is a tech company. They are tech people. I'm not meaning this to insult them. They just don't understand. They're going to be guys who are in their like late 30s to like fucking 80, right? People who have money, who are able to invest high amounts to influence. They're all going to be CEOs of conglomerate companies that just invest in everything, right? Yeah. Although like a BlackRock or a State Street. So those people aren't the target audience for gaming. And they don't see the gaming part really as the biggest part of Sony, when in reality, it's the number 2 biggest part of Sony. It's bigger than Columbia Pictures, and it makes more money than Columbia Pictures. But they see Sony as, oh yeah, they make cheap, like they make affordable quality electronic products. That's what they look at Sony. And then they understand Columbia Pictures because all of them have grown up with movies. Not all of them have grown up with video games, and even video games being more than just a niche. So, like, of course, arcades, right? But home consoles, for them, it still seems like a niche thing, even though video games are bigger than all other media combined. That's not hyperbole. No. It's facts. It is the biggest thing in the world.